Hello and welcome to ET Garage. I'm Eugene Tordo, and today's video is going to be about this right here, this thing. So stay tuned. Be back shortly. Okay, like I said earlier, this video is going to be about the KC4 Oil Cooler that came on the C4 Corvettes. They also came on other GM products like the Camaro and the Firebird from the same era. There's a lot of, I don't know, I guess you can call them myths or facts. A lot of people have different opinions. Most opinions about these things are negative. And I think the reason they're negative is they require maintenance like everything else on the car. You know, they get miles on them, and the hoses that attach here leak. And so people just go ahead and remove the whole unit. And these did come as an option on the C4 Corvettes. I'm not sure what year. Someone who's more knowledgeable about that could leave comment in the comment section what year they came to. But I know on a 90 Corvette they actually came from the factory. It was standard. And then 90 and 91. And then 92 when they came out with the LT1 they did away with it. And they just went to synthetic oil. So when I bought my car, this C4 here, it had 163,000 miles on it. And this was missing, along with all the attaching hardware that goes with it. This one here I picked up used off of eBay, cheap. And one of the reasons it was cheap is the guy didn't bother to clean it at all. He didn't even bother to remove the oil. He just stuck it in a bag and sent it to me. And that's fine, as long as it doesn't leak in any way. Now, I've heard people mention that these leak coolant into the oil. To me, that doesn't make sense because your oil pressure usually is around 60 psi and your coolant pressure is between 12 and 15 psi. So if it did leak, it'd have to be leak oil and leak coolant into your oil. It would have to do with the engine not running. And I just find that hard to believe that GM would do that. Now it's possible when they get, you know, high mileage on them and stuff like that. You can't get these new anymore. They're not made anymore by the Modine Manufacturing Company. Modine is still in business, and they actually make these heat exchangers for other automobiles. They're different designs, of course, and other applications, not just cars. But they don't make this particular one, which is that part number right there. But I'm considering putting this back on, and I do a lot of data logging, so I figured I'd data log before and after. It's going to be hard to do because there's no way I can just do it like swap this in and go for a ride and see what happens. It's a little bit more involved in that. This gets mounted between, I don't have an extra oil filter with me, but this goes right where the oil filter goes, and then the oil filter, this gets sandwiched between the oil filter and the block. And there's the only thing difference between the oil filter adapter that's in the block are the two bolts are longer. And a lot of people say that's to keep this from turning like this, but I don't see how that does that because there's no holes for them to go in. I think what they do is they act as spacer so you don't over compress this when you tighten that down. Then one of these lines here actually goes into the block, directly into the block where there's a drain plug on the very bottom of a block. On a small block Chevy, there's a drain plug on each side. On a 90 Corvette, the one on that drain plug on the passenger side is actually used for the knock sensor. That's where the knock sensor screws in. And I think that's why they did away with this, because I think when they came out with the LT1, there's actually two knock sensors on there. Like I said, if you're more familiar with the LT1 than I am, leave comments below. And they have one on each side, so that's probably one of the reasons they did away with that. Or they just felt more confidence in the synthetic oil. That's what I do. I run a good quality synthetic oil. which doesn't break down at higher temperatures, uh, like regular oil does. It just holds up to higher temperatures a lot better. With that being said, I'm really considering putting this back on. And what I like about this is when you, I live here in the Northeast, and I do take this out in cold days. And what I like about it is it'll help your engine oil warm up faster. And a lot of people say that's all it is an oil heater, not an oil cooler. But I've seen people who track their car and monitor their oil temperature. And at least one person on the forum, and this was an older post, says he won't do a track day without it. It actually runs cooler with it. So that I believe, and other people who have negative experience with it is, I think, because they age, and like anything that ages, they need to be replaced, and they probably also get all clogged up. I could see, like, if I were to put this back in without cleaning it and descaling the inside where the coolant goes and cleaning all these oil passages out, how this might have more a negative effect than a positive effect. So these things do need maintenance, and they probably wear out just like everything else. That being said, because you can't get these new anymore, I am reluctant to use that because of that. But I still may go ahead and do it and try it. Worst case, I'll go ahead and pressure test this before I put it on. That's for sure. And another problem I have is I actually have my knock sensor on my 90 mounted on the driver's side. And the reason I did that, when I rebuilt this motor back about 40,000 miles ago, I put a brand new knock sensor on it, put the motor in the car, got everything together, fired it up, and it ran for about 10 sensor in the knock sensor field. I went to take that knock sensor out, and of course it just broke right off. I never went through the process of removing the broken off stud that's in there in that hole. And I just went ahead and mounted it on the other location, on the other side of the block, because I just had no reason not to. And so if I do mount this, I'll have to do it like the Camaros. I think they actually didn't go into the block, they just ran the hoses back up somehow. I'll have to look into it. Anyway, I got a diagram for the 90, my 90 Corvette, how it was, all the lines were ran, and I'll leave a picture somewhere during the video of it. I'll get a copy out of the factory service manual and post it up here. But yeah, I'm seriously thinking of putting this in. If I do, it probably won't be till fall, late fall or winter. And it depends on what's going on, because I have some upgrades I'm going to be doing to this. I'm waiting on parts. They won't be here till like November. And I wanted to do some engine upgrades, but because of those other upgrades I did, I'm not going to bother. The engine's running great, you know, and so I'll just leave it the way it is. And I really would like to, though, pull it and go with a different set of heads, slightly more cam, and some other things. But budget's not going to allow it with the other upgrades I'm doing, and the motor's running great, so I'll just leave that for another year until I retire. Hopefully a year from now I'm going to retire, so we'll see. But this is very controversial. That's why I think it makes for a good video. So, like I said, leave in the comment sections your experiences, and what do you think? The thing I've seen researching on the internet seems to be the hoses that connect here, they get old and they leak. That's the only leaks that I could really find. I did see someone on Facebook, one of the Corvette pages on groups on Facebook, say that they leak coolant into the oil, like I was saying earlier. I just don't see how that can happen. Okay, I could see oil going into the coolant, especially when the car is running. And I mean, it's possible the coolant could go back. I mean, if this gets corroded in here, like the coolant system isn't maintained and this gets corroded in here, yeah, I could see problems happening. So I don't know. If I do this, I also have to get all the hardware that goes with it. Those 2 bolts. I gotta get there's an aluminum line that runs all the way up over the motor, or comes up over the motor and to the other side and hooks up to one of the hoses that goes to the heater core. And I don't have to do it that way, because like I said, I'm also going to have to remove that broken stud in the plug drain hole on the other side and move the knock sensor back to that side if I do this. Or I could actually just I have another way of doing it. I could just run 2 lines going around the motor. Or I can get creative and do something else. I have another creative idea where I would run a separate cooling system to a heat exchanger in front of the radiator, or a cooler, like a trans cooler, and with a separate pump that only comes on when the oil gets to a certain temperature. I thought about doing something trick like that too. Who knows? Maybe I will do that. Like I said, leave your comments below. And if you made it this far in a video, go down there. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. Check out my other videos. I'll always leave links during the video to my other videos. But check them out. I got a lot of stuff on the C4 and some projects in the garage and a lot of car show videos, and I had some videos from last week from Corvettes of Carlisle and stuff like that. So I'll get back to you guys about this in the future, what I'm gonna do. So like I said, either check back on the channel, subscribe, notification bell, whatever makes you happy. Thanks for watching if you made it this far, and everybody have a great day, and God bless.